Good afternoon, this is Adam Tuiaana with FCOJ-A Futures in Chicago, reporting to you today on Wednesday, March 6th, 2013. Just a quick update on your soft commodities market. Starting out first with the cocoa, last traded at 2043, that's 2043 a metric ton. Puts it pretty much down on the day, 16 ticks on the day. There's been some issues with a very strong supply of cocoa out there. And at the same time, a very weak demand, especially out of the Eurozone. We've seen some pretty big weakness in the Euro currency. A lot of issues due in Italy, Cyprus, all over. So that's weakening the demand outlook for the Eurozone. So we're seeing cocoa sell off quite a bit because of that. And remember that cocoa's been in a pretty massive downtrend basically since September 12th. And if we were to take that downtrend line that's been in place, even though it's been having some decent corrections, that level at which it will breach the downtrend, the major trend line that's in place, is 2150. So that's going to be some very good resistance for cocoa. Even though you still have issues in Ivory Coast with a lot of violence and issues out there, I still think it's not enough to support the price of cocoa at this 5 minutes. So I think you're going to see a continued bearish market there. We are still waiting, by the way, on for next month on the European grinding totals for cocoa, which can kind of give us a barometer for how much chocolate is going to be out there in demand. But until then, until we see those numbers, bearish on cocoa. Moving over to coffee, last traded at 140.90, puts coffee down 25 on the day. Massive outside day down yesterday, and that followed through with some selling that we saw today, which puts it down 25 ticks. But most of that coming from a large off-season crop out of Brazil that's putting some pressure on coffee at this time. There's also been some mixed fundamentals there, some forecasted really wet weather in Vietnam, which is also a major producer of coffee. At the same time, some bullish support might come from Colombia and the strikes they're having out there from a lot of the coffee growers that are out in Colombia. You still have an issue with the Roya fungus that is a very real issue in Central America, Guatemala, and also in Costa Rica. It's been affected really bad out there as well. So at the same time, I think that coffee is going to continue to sell off. There's some good resistance here at the 147 level, which we rallied to a little while ago, and we pulled off that pretty nicely. Still bearish. Look for a revisit down to the 137.60 level, and that's a critical area of support. Moving next to cotton. I have been cotton bullish for a while. Last traded 87.35, puts cotton up in the May contract 37 on the day. Strong equities in U.S. markets as well as the Chinese markets are lending cotton some support. Global demand is pretty strong at this point. There also reports a small and planted area overall for those major producers of cotton in China and U.S. So that's going to also make cotton, in my opinion, long-term bullish. Look for a revisit to the highs back in February of last year at the 97 level. You're hearing it first. I think cotton's going to rally up to that point over time. Long-term bullish on that. Look for, if cotton's going to break down, critical support area 81.39 is one to keep your eye on. Last but not least, sugar. Last traded 18.18. Put sugar pretty much even on the day. This has been a sideways, very choppy, consolidated market. Very boring market to watch, by the way, at this point. A huge global surplus of sugar for the past 4 years. It makes it really hard to be bullish sugar at this point. It's been sitting at this 1800 level for a very long time. I think it comes into some resistance. We did rally up to 1849, high 1840s, which also marks a 61.8 retracement on the Fibonacci's. So it came into some resistance there. Here we are at 1818, violated that 1800 level. I think it's going to continue to sell off for quite some time. So long-term bearish on sugar. This, again, is Adam with FCOJ-A Futures in Chicago. If you do have any questions or you'd like some strategies on how to approach any futures markets for that matter, you can always reach me directly at 312-373-5392. Remember that futures trading does present some risk, and it is not suitable for all traders. Have a great afternoon.